Okay, this is my second video of the day for the third day of South by Southwest. This is Jack Yates, graduate student, Masters of Science in Marketing. And this event, which was called Social Media Marketing is Dead, Long Live Gaming, I actually went to see that on the recommendation of what you said, Professor Myers, from a class I took with you last quarter about how your kids were spending much more time on video games and social media. So I want to thank you for the inspiration to take to specifically go to this event. I really sought it out because of what you talked about. And the event itself was hosted by a guy named Charles Hambro, who founded this organization called GEEIQ, which is GEEEIQ. And what they basically were, they're kind of interesting because they're sort of a one-of-a-kind place. They're not a marketing agency, but they're like an analytics data lab to gather data and analytics specifically for video games within a marketing brand context. So he's got a lot of interesting stuff. I'm going to breeze through a lot of his talk, kind of. Not just because, it's not important, but he does another huge timeline thing, which isn't like really key. But he opens the speech by giving this quote where he says, users are not just going into games to play anymore, but they're going to socialize, and that we've got the data to say social media is dead. And he admitted that like saying social media marketing is dead is like a bit dramatic, but he did that on purpose. But he gives this timeline of social media, beginning with MSN Messenger in 1995, Facebook and MySpace, which he calls networks, start to arrive. And then user-generated content starts to arrive in like 2005 to 2010 with like Instagram, and then 2016 to now. He says there's a content glut. There's an abundance of content with like TikTok and YouTube Reels and Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels. And that, again, this was a whole part of his talk, but I'm kind of breezing through it so I can get to the important stuff. But he brings up this point that like social media isn't as social as it used to be. Like we're not really using it to socialize anymore. We're kind of using it to just consume content. Again, Instagram, like, yes, you can see what your friends are doing, but you can also go on Reels and just scroll through random stuff for hours. And TikTok is all that. It's all Reels, and it's all scrolling, and it's not really interacting with your friends. And there was a transition in there. We went from desktops to laptops to phone. And he begins by saying, and then he breaks down the history of gaming, which again, I'm going to breeze through, but he says that there was always socializing in gaming, even back to 1971 when the first arcade opened at Stanford. 80s saw the rise of consoles, solo games, but even then people would like go to each other's houses to play them together. In the 1990s to 2000s, multiplayer networks started to arrive thanks to like developments in the internet. And he mentioned like World of Warcraft as the ultimate case study in this, which came out in like 2004 or something. I don't really know. And then 2005 to 2020 is when we started seeing user-generated games on things like Roblox and Minecraft and Fortnite. And he said these are games where the users are the players. And then not 2025, 2005 to 2020, and now 2020 to now, user-generated content in games is being used as a business model. And he also noted that many games have their own economy, how in like Fortnite you can buy V-Bucks with real money, so you're spending real money on like fake money that you then use to purchase stuff in-game, which is interesting. And that's sort of the economic model for how some of this brand advertising works. And then he sort of topped this off by saying, we live in an attention economy now. And this is really important because he goes on to give some marketing statistics, which is what I really want to talk about. First of all, he starts giving down segmentation statistics, that only 6% of Generation Alpha use Facebook, only 4% of Generation Alpha use, 40% of Generation Alpha use Instagram, and only 44% of Generation Alpha use TikTok. This is like the younger generation at the moment, Generation Alpha. And 96% of Generation Alpha play video games, and 92% of Gen Z play video games. He goes into this term called UGC, gaming platforms, user-generated content, gaming platforms. Again, apologies if I'm going fast. There's just like so much to talk about. And he gives examples like Roblox, Fortnite, and Minecraft, and a few others, but those are the big ones. And he says they hold more eyeballs than social media now, because he says that social media only has like a 1 second attention span before you lose someone, while these games have on average 11 minutes before you lose someone. So some ads that I have from Gen Z, only 9% of Gen Z pay attention to an ad for more than 1 second. After 1.3 seconds, Gen Z loses attention to ads, and 63% of Gen Z use ad blockers. So if they're even seeing these ads at all, they're not paying attention to them, and the ones who are seeing them are the minority of the generation. And he starts talking about a bunch of other statistics. Sorry, they're on my phone. That with Generation Alpha, 96% of them spend their free time playing video games. With Gen Z, 92% of them spend their free time playing video games. Sorry, I think I already mentioned that. And that just, there's no real also gender discrimination in this. He talked about how across all of these UGC games, the gender split is pretty much 50-50. It usually leans male, but only by like 5%. So like this classic idea of like only boys play video games, which was always more of an anecdote than anything else, is not really true anymore. And he started to talk about, I'm breezing along here because I really want to get this in, but he started to talk about how one of the first paid partnerships was with Gucci in one of these UGC games, and how you could buy like Gucci products in the game with the game currency, whatever it is, like V-Bucks for Fortnite, and that you would enter these virtual worlds, and the game was Roblox, and you're basically creating this like digital economy, and through it like a virtual CRM model is also happening because they're gathering data on the players and the products sold as it's happening. And he said he really emphasized a lot that it's all happening now. It's happening quicker. He didn't mention this, but it all made me think about how a couple of years ago, like Travis Scott held a concert in Fortnite and like thousands of people showed up, which is like ridiculous. And he gave some more statistics the two big leaders are like the fashion industry right now, but he said that Walmart is really ahead of the curve in terms of UGC game advertising. So here's a statistic that Walmart, between Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X, it had 4,500,000 engagements, active engagement with content, as opposed to Roblox, when they did like a advertising thing on Roblox, it had 13,400,000 minutes of active engagement. So it's like more than double or double-ish of the engagement through video games than traditional social media. Versace did the same thing where they did social media advertising on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and they had 200,000 minutes on those social media platforms. And on Fortnite, I should preface this, for those 200,000 minutes, that was over 42 days. And then their engagement on Fortnite was 1,400,000 minutes, and that was just in 3 days. So, like, the math is mathing hard, and the statistics are clearly showing that, like, the future of advertising certainly is on, like, gaming platforms, and he's saying that this is all transition is happening now. Primarily, this is targeted towards, like, the 24 and under generation. But he also mentioned this yoga company called Alo, A-L-O, and that this company had sold more virtual clothing than real clothing through game advertising, which I also have to think from like a production standpoint really keeps your overhead down and is just brilliant. But it really opened up like a whole new world of advertising, and the metaverse, like while we all laughed at it with the stupid headsets, is actually releasing like mobile devices now, which is going to be huge. It makes me think a little bit about data privacy, especially considering most of these people are really young, but also just like how does the little guy, how does the non-Walmart little corporation advertise on social media? He didn't really get into that part of it, but he sent me a QR code to this whole study that I'll put in the link of this video.